Welcome to the weekly lesson from Unity Church of Victoria. I'm Vicki Vanderhorst, a licensed Unity teacher. Whether you're a member of our beloved community or just checking us out, we're delighted you found us. If anything you hear doesn't work for you, that's all right. Just simply set it aside. Or, on the other hand, if you hear ideas that resonate with you, take them and apply them and use them to make a positive difference in your life. I hope the lesson you're about to hear will support you on your spiritual journey. In the month of May, we were looking at the idea of creating wholeness in relationships. Creating wholeness in relationships. And part of the picture, the image that we wanted to use that makes it kind of easy to get the idea is the idea of a hurricane. The idea of a storm. And last week, if you were here, you saw a few slides on our PowerPoint presentation that showed actual hurricanes from space. And you could see how a huge area they covered and the huge winds and impact that they had all around them. And then in the middle of each one of those hurricanes was that place of stillness. Now, even if we have never actually experienced a hurricane, we can probably all relate. Perhaps we've been in a storm, we can relate to what that, or we've seen images on TV, we can relate to the power of those storms. When I was a child growing up, we went camping a lot. And one of the places that we went camping was on the coast of North Carolina. And we always went at Easter time. And as you know, depending on when Easter falls, sometimes that is also in the middle of hurricane season down there. And we had this fabulous tent. These were in the days, this was in the 50s and 60s, when really everybody had canvas tents. There weren't any trailers or RVs or things like that. And we had this incredible tent that was red, bold fire engine red and white. And my parents had ordered it from France or something because it was really sturdy. And you'll see why they did that. And all the other tents in the campground are the khaki, or the brown kind of color. So we really stood out in the campground. But this tent could endure the most incredible storms. And I remember often we would be down there off on the coast, on an island off the coast of North Carolina, and we'd get the warning that a hurricane was coming through. And many people collapsed their tents and went and got a night in a motel or something nearby. But no, we just drove more stakes into the sand and, buckled down. And it was an amazing sensation, of course, to be in the tent in the night with a wind just howling and the tent flapping and, just loud. No one could sleep. And then the storm does pass. The storm does pass. And in the morning, we could see that the sun was shining. And we'd unzip the tent and we'd look out and we'd look up and down the whole campground, and our tent would be the only one standing. And it was an amazing sensation that you had survived. That you were still there. You weren't blown off into the ocean. So that idea of storms, we survived. Were we scared? Yeah. Probably more like terrified. I can't even imagine actually having 4 small children in a tent. We were probably all screaming our heads off. How my parents did that. But anyway, yes, we survived. We were scared. Now, hurricanes, are a great analogy in the physical world. They represent storms and chaos. But we also probably have experienced in our own lives storms or chaos or that sensation of being out of control, being whipped around by outside events. And those storms can take place in our minds, in our hearts, in our physical bodies, in our surroundings. And that's why this image of the hurricane in the eye of the storm is so perfect for what we're talking about this month. So we have the storm. We probably all know what that's felt like. And then we have this incredibly magical, mystical, powerful place, which is the eye. And if you would happen, I did have the opportunity once to be in the eye of the storm as it passed over in the eye of the hurricane. And it's peaceful. and it's quiet, and the sun is shining. It's blue sky. Even sometimes you hear some of the birds, come back out. They think that the storm's over. It's an incredible place. And so we enjoy that moment because if you're in a hurricane, you know that, then the other half of the hurricane is going to pass through. Now, in our emotional, physical, mental lives, when we have that storms, we also have that eye of the storm. And where would you rather be living from? The hurricane or the eye? I could ask that out loud. Where would you rather be living from? The hurricane or the eye? And sometimes it may feel like we don't have a choice. Sometimes it might feel like our life is out of control, that there is nothing we can do, that we are victims. And you know what? That is just not the truth. Because we have a choice about where we want to live. We can live in the storm or we can live in the eye. When we're living in the eye of the storm, we are at peace. We are centered. We are calm. We are aware that there is a lot of stuff happening around us, but we are not part of that. We are centered. When we are in that centered, perfect, peaceful place, we are connected with God, with source energy, with divine power, whatever that means to you. We are connected with that. And when we are there, we have the opportunity to be an agent of peace, to be a presence of peace. We have the opportunity to enable or to encourage healing to take place. When we're in that place of the eye of the storm in ourselves and in our world, we can be a presence of love. It's pretty hard to do those things when we're caught up in the storm of life that sometimes happens around us. But that is the opportunity. That is the place of power. That is the place where things can change, things can shift, things can be transformed when we are in that place of peace, of calm. In the book, Eye of the Storm, which is the one that we're using for this series this month by Gary Simmons, he talks about the beliefs that keep us in the storm. And perhaps you've probably heard some of those on Sunday morning. For the next 4 Wednesdays, we'll be talking more about what these beliefs are that hold us or keep us in that storm and what we can do to bring ourselves back to that centered place. And one of those beliefs is what he calls the enemy. So I'd like to read to you what he says about the enemy. The belief that someone or something is against you is what Jesus called the enemy. Your enemy could be your body, an illness or physical condition. Your enemy could be a dreaded eventuality, such as death or divorce. Your enemy could be an unsympathetic coworker who challenges you. Whatever seems to be against you is your enemy. Whatever seems to be against you is your enemy. Now, this is great. He gives us 4 clues on how we know when we're in that adversarial role with a person or a situation. When we know that we've got an quote-unquote enemy in our lives. You know that you are in relationship to a quote enemy when your first inclination is to be in control of the situation. Well, I don't, just off the top of my head in the last week, I can think of a few of those in my life where I felt the need to control what was going on. That perception is an enemy. Also, to make the other person wrong so that we can be right. If we ever feel the need to prove ourselves or our point and make the other person wrong, that is a clue that we are in an adversarial role. And this all is about, did you notice, it's all about us, right? It's not about what somebody did to us or something that happened to us. Okay, these are things that happen internally. What about resisting or avoiding? Those are things also that are those clues. If there's a situation that we're avoiding, maybe perhaps we don't want to go visit somebody because we just know it's going to be blah, 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 blah. Maybe there's a situation, even like doing taxes, we can avoid doing those, and we just keep doing that and doing that. And we've created an enemy in our life. We are thinking that there is something against us, something that is taking away our happiness. So those are the clues. If we feel the need to be right, if we feel the need to take control, if we are avoiding something or we are resisting something, those are clues that we have an enemy, quote unquote, in our midst. So, what are we going to do about that? What are we going to do about this enemy, about this belief that actually keeps us in the storm? Can you see how that if you are in this need to control, for instance, that you are not in the eye of the storm? Because I don't know about you, but I've learned that when I try to control something, if they would just do what I would say, what I would ask, it would all be fine. But does that rarely happen? And then we get into more conflict, and I get into more, struggle. Am I in the eye of the storm? No. I'm definitely in the storm. So we can live in this stormy area, or we can maybe see what we can do about this enemy, this perceived enemy, and see how we can live truly in the eye of the storm. And how we do that, got a great little quote here, from Matthew. This is what Jesus says. This is from Matthew 5:43. You have heard that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemy and pray for those who persecute you. Bless them that curse you, and do good to them that hate you, and pray for those who persecute you. Can you see why Jesus was considered a revolutionary? Why he made a lot of people uncomfortable? Because the old way of thinking is an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. If this person does it to me, then they're going to get it back. Of course you're going to hate somebody who's horrible to you. Love your neighbors, hate your enemies. In a lot of ways, that makes sense. But Jesus is calling us to a higher way of doing things, of creating peace in ourselves and in the world. Not about creating more war when we have this perception of enemies. Just 4 things. Love. Be willing to look for the good in the situation, in the person. Bless. See this situation as an opportunity for healing. Do the right thing instead of needing to be right. And pray. Now, prayer doesn't mean, God, get this person out of my life. Although I have been tempted. I must say, I've not even been tempted. I have actually prayed that before. That's not the kind of prayer we're talking about. When we pray, we lift ourselves out of the situation, and we lift ourselves and place ourselves fully into the peace and the serenity and the love and the power of God. Love, bless, do the right thing, and pray. So what I'd like to do now, I'd like to ask Michael to come up to the piano, and what we're going to do is actually practice this. Because I'm thinking that perhaps in your life you may have one of these enemies. Maybe just one. Something or someone I would like you to bring to mind. Something or someone that you feel the need to control, that you feel the need to be right, that you are avoiding or you are resisting. Some person or some situation. And what I'm going to do is we're going to go through this 4-step formula right now. So just take a minute, Michael, if you'd like to play some quiet music, and bring some situation or person in your life that you want to see differently, that you want to heal your relationship with it. Some person or situation that we want to bring out of the storm and into that place of perfect peace. So we're going to take this formula, love, bless, do right, and pray, as we go into prayer. Breathe into your heart. And as you do, feel the love that resides there, expanding and growing. With each breath, feelings of love and appreciation grow and radiate until your heart is filled with the healing power of love. Continue to breathe into your heart and let that love fill your body. Fill your heartbeat, fill your breath, fill your mind as we use this 4-step formula. Love. First of all, are you willing to begin this journey of healing? Are you willing to accept and embrace this situation or person? Ask yourself, am I willing to see this differently? Am I willing to use this challenge for my healing? If the answer is yes, then silently say yes. Bless. Breathe into your heart, for this is a journey of the heart, and the heart understands this wisdom. Stay focused in the loving energy of your heart, and ask yourself how this can be a blessing. How can I see that this person or this situation is for me, not against me? Am I willing to see this as a blessing and not a curse? What can I see in order to transform myself and my world? The 3rd step is do good. This makes perfect sense to your heart, since the heart knows that no one and nothing is against you. What can I do to make the difference? What authentic action can I take that will change this situation, that will bring about healing? What is the loving thing to do? Am I willing to be the instrument for change? And am I willing to be the one who makes a difference? Pray. Keep the person or situation in your heart now and breathe that loving energy into them. In your heart is all the strength you need to heal this and change an enemy into a friend. Feel the freedom and lightness within you as you make this shift. You do have the power to turn any situation into a blessing through the presence of Spirit. So let's bring ourselves back now to this time and this place. Perhaps taking a deep breath will help us do that. Thank you, Michael. My hope is that by experiencing this and doing it at least once, for me, that's how I learn. That's how I remember. Because this truly is a tool that you can use at any time, in any place, under any circumstances, to remind yourself and reconnect you with the I, with the place of all possibilities, with a place of wholeness and healing, to create that wholeness and that peace, not only in ourselves, but in our surroundings and in the world. Thank you for listening to this podcast. If you'd like to know more about us, I invite you to check out our website, unityvictoria.ca, or join us on Sunday mornings at 10:30 a.m. as we come together for our weekly service in the Victoria Conservatory of Music's Alex Goulden Hall at Quadra and Pandora. God bless and namaste.